Do you like to break me down when I'm shattered on the ground? Are you happy? Are you happy? All I wanted was your love. Was I asking for too much? Are you happy? Are you happy? Do you like to break me down when I'm shattered on the ground? Are you happy? Are you happy? All I wanted was your love. Was I asking for too much? Are you happy? Are you happy? You break me down off the ground. You happy? You happy?
Hello my soul family, welcome to the Love Show for May of 2021. My name is Christie Ramirez and I'm your soul coach. This is a special show provided every month by the Spiritual Counseling TV network. For more exclusive content just like this and so much more, please become a member at christieramirez.com/TV. You're missing out if you're not a member, and I really want to say that this month of May, I'm feeling a lot of positive energy for love in specific. Here we only talk love, and this is about spiritual love, not just any kind of love, not just any kind of dating situation, but this is about the real thing. This is about true love, sacred union, and spirituality in the sense. And the theme that I came up for May of 2021 is sacred vows, because this is a very important topic to be well aware of before getting into a sacred union. Now, I'm not just talking about sacred vows in the matrimony, but I'm also talking about sacred vows for life. A spiritual union is one that's going to be there through the thick and thin, the one that's going to be there and not need to look elsewhere. There's no doubt once you get into that relationship, that union is like love at first sight. There's no going back, there's no exploring once you found that person, and there is no backing out. Just like our mission work, right? We don't just back out of our spiritual mission, our life purpose. But when things get difficult, as a matter of fact, we only go in deeper. And this deepness that challenges us is what only makes it more fortified and sustainable in the long run. And that's ironic, because the more challenges that you face with that relationship, the more stronger, or the stronger it shall be, because it would stand the test of time. And this is more than just a friendship union as well. We've learned that a spiritual partnership embodies all aspects of love. The friendship box, the passionate box, the intimate part, which is the vulnerability, being honest and transparent with one another, even though it may hurt. Honesty is always the best policy. And there's the commitment of it, right? All these four categories makes up the ideal relationship, the ideal union, the ideal marriage. But in order to do this, we need to follow through and commit with these sacred vows. These sacred vows, similar to what we say before we get married, through sickness and in health, through the ups and the downs, we vow to our partner that we will always be their partner, right? There's no backing out of your best friend, your support system, but rather you need to feel safe in that relationship, that's going to be that person for you, your person. Everybody has their person, their one, and you will know this when you've met them. It's not like once you meet them, there's still doubts along the journey, along the years. This is like a feeling that is just inevitable and unbearable as well. And God is telling us that, you know, these unions are possible, because a lot of people associate this kind of love that I'm speaking about as a fairy tale or as something that's impossible. But remember that everything once possible was once considered impossible. So that's the first step that you must overcome, this hurdle of your belief system. Do you believe in true love? Do you believe in miracles? Do you believe in the impossible. And this goes very much applied to love, because love is actually one of the hardest things that people seem to experience, that is difficult to achieve. Is one of the most difficult things for people to achieve in this lifetime. True sacred love. It's not about just jumping into your first relationship or that first person that you just met a few months ago and then sealing the deal with marriage. Because that's, as soon as, it's not about that. Okay, so let's distinguish this love at first sight and then making a commitment too quick, because there still is a fine line between that as well. And I know that every situation is very different because everybody's different. Every union has its own story. But there is such a thing as being blinded into it and not acting through your heart, but rather just acting through the ego or just through the mind. For example, the ego would be the lustful desires. The ego would be, I don't want to be alone. The ego would be, I'm getting older and I'm afraid that I won't find someone else. Those are thoughts of the ego plus other fear-based thoughts and mentality. Or you're trying to rebound from a relationship that really hurt you, right? And that's more like a victimhood mentality, fear-based, the lowest vibrational mentality, which is like 2D and below. And then on the other hand, I said if it's the ego or if it's your mind, the mind can just try to make things work out because maybe it looks good on paper or it looks good in the 3D reality, but that's the thing about spiritual love. This is not a 3D based relationship. This is a 5D and above based relationship, meaning that it's spiritual, it's etheric, it's tantric. Words can't explain, even in the physical realm. And that's the confusion of a lot of people, because maybe they're in the same job or in a business, or maybe they just think that because they like the same things, that's what the person they should be with, or whatever the scenario, right? Or maybe you're trying to logically put the pieces together. I met this person at a given time because I was supposed to marry them, but maybe it was a test. And that's where people really have to discern what's the test and what's the true thing. And the only way that you can do this is if you're really spiritually cleansed and pure, and you are in clear communication with God, with your Holy Spirit, not just spirit, because a lot of people say I'm speaking through spirit or spirit is guiding me. But I was thinking about this the other day, and there's a very clear distinction, because there's such a thing as other spirits, but this is about the Holy Spirit, right? And that's only one, and that's from God. So you really need to make sure that, like I said, we all have an angel and a devil on our shoulder, right? Like the song says. You need to make sure that you're listening to your angels, your romantic angels, and not to the ego, not to your fear-based side, but embody your higher self when seeking your spiritual partner. And be humble before this partnership. Be humble as to how it's going to look in the physical. And the more that we surrender to our expectations, either of how it's going to look, how it's going to transpire, or about this fated meaning, the more that we will be in grace and peace when this love shows up on our doorstep. And this is about also being willing to derumble and create a tower moment with all our past belief systems about love. Because believe it or not, this also holds a lot of people back. Remember that this high vibrational spiritual love is exactly that. It's vibrational, it's energetic. So the law of attraction is really playing a huge role in this. And I was thinking about this as well, because if you have a mentality that either true love doesn't exist, I've said this before, or that you don't deserve to be loved, or that this always happens, the other gender is like this, so I'm to expect that they're never gonna be different, be that ideal kind of partner that you want, whatever that may be for you. If you have those belief systems ingrained in your heart, you're creating a strong barrier in allowing it to come into your life. You're not being receptive in your heart, and that's going to show in that you're not going to be able to manifest this higher spiritual love. And the other case as well that also interferes in people's love lives, whether they're single or in a relationship, I've seen this as well, is just when they have a really negative attitude towards life or towards things that happen to them, towards stress, for example. and not really discerning what's the lesson in this, rather than just blaming other people or seeking anger or bitterness towards things that happen to them in their life journey, the lessons that they've had to learn to grow up. A lot of people resent those lessons, and that's a resentment towards God, and that needs to be let go as well. Because guess what? This spiritual love is a gift from God. But if you're mad at God, how is God going to continue blessing you? Because you're putting this barrier, not God. God is never angry with us, and we're never to be angry with God for whatever we've experienced in love that might have created heartache, might have created a lot of sad, lonely nights. But you know what? There's always a reason in God's divine plan, and we need to trust this. And there's evidence. I've seen people who have believed in love to the very end, and they got it. But that's the thing, you need to believe. Believe in miracles, believe in love. A Course in Miracles teaches us that love is the answer. Love is the only way to the higher soul path of our life. It is the only way to true healing. Remember that healing is not just your physical body. You might be feeling healthy on the outside. You might be very athletic even, and energetic. But deep down in your emotional and mental body, it might not be in alignment. And guess what? That's going to affect your highest spiritual body. And if you're in unalignment, you're going to attract an unaligned partner or an unaligned union. And this will affect the continuous progression of your soul journey, your eventual evolution. And then there's a possibility that you can stay stuck in that or even settle, which happens to many people. And they waste their years, their life on a relationship that's not true. That's only based on convenience or on money or on looks or on societal pressures or images. And all of these things need to be let go, because these are all barriers of the 3D reality. And we're trying to achieve something more greater. We're trying to achieve something transcendental, higher, the higher love, which is the highest of them all. And I really wish that most of us can experience that here on this lifetime, this year, because this is the moment. God is wanting to reward us with all of this passion that's ancient. I am feeling a lot of Greece energy today, like Greek mythology. And we know that Venus is the goddess of love. And I know that astrologically there's a lot of activity for Venus being blocked, being squared by other planets. And she's in her home sign in Taurus this weekend, but then she's moving into not her home sign, into Gemini. And that's going to be a scary place for love during these next months. But I feel like right now we're experiencing instability when it comes to love. Because Venus, I know Venus because I am all Venus, okay? And Venus is all about love, and if she doesn't have love in her life, she's gonna feel like something's missing. She could have everything in the world, but if that missing piece is not there, which is what defines this woman, this man, who are ruled by Venus, then there's gonna be something incomplete. And I feel like this is a collective message. There's like a collective hole in people's hearts when it comes to love. And guess what? It's because it's not spiritual love. This applies even to people who are in relationships. I can promise you, if you don't lie to yourself and you're honest, that there's still something missing in your heart. There's a hole in there that no one has been able to fill it. And guess what? The answer, actually, believe it or not, is that the only person that can fill it is you first. And then by you filling that hole is when the true thing will appear, as if by a magnet. And that's where my New Atomic Soul Coaching program comes into play. I've been promoting this program ever since last year because I can't overemphasize the importance of this program. This program was channeled to me at the beginning of my business, and it's only grown stronger in my belief system that this program works. These are the 10 main themes that I came up with that people go through their dark night of the soul. And that moment when they're in the transition from the old self, the 3D based self, into their higher self, the new you, the new self, into this new world, because this new world is where that new love is. And this is what I was also feeling, new love, because this is a love that has never been a lover before in our life, basically. So it could be a new person, or maybe you know that person from far away, but they've never been anything in your life. There's never been a relationship yet. And that's only makes sense, because if we would have already met that person or had this intimate romantic relationship with that person, then that means that we should have been at a higher vibrational level when we were with that person, right? But chances are, collectively, this has not happened. And this, of course, doesn't apply for the older generation, although it can very much apply. Because this is not about age. This is about the energy, the timelines, and the generation that we're in, the age that we're in. And this is new stuff. So this is new love, because it has not been experienced yet. So we need to be open and let go of any expectations as to who we think it is, how we think it's going to show up, and what we need to do to allow this love in. Because chances are that if it's not in your life, you still have things to do. There's action that needs to be taken really into focus. And this action can play out for many different people in different ways. It can be going somewhere, it can be leaving somewhere. It can be ending something or starting something new, right? So it can look very different for many people. That's where that has to be a personalized investigation for each person, where you could book a personal session with me if you want more clear guidance for your specific life path. You can always book at christieramirez.com/booking. And definitely that program is going to help you, because you might get these downloads and these revelations as you're journaling, doing your introspection and reflections at night, which is a great time to reflect more at night, which is like where the moon's out, and is where the intuition comes out at its highest. Because when we wake up in the day, it's more about we're taking action for the day, right? We're energized and vitalized, so there's not too much time for reflection. And this is another advice, I guess, that God is wanting to give us today, and the Holy Spirit, is that if you have a life that's overactive and just overdriven and don't have that downtime to reflect, then that also might be messing with your clear guidance, with your alignment, right? Because you're not giving your soul time to rest and actually sit down with yourself and take deep note of these new guidance that God is trying to give to you. And so I do want to point out then that if you want to find the spiritual love, make time to reflect, make time to really sit down with yourself and ask yourself what it is that you really want. What is your ideal relationship? And just dream about it, but ask and pray for it as well. Remember, God and our angels want us to ask them for help. And that's how they work. And we're learning about this in my angel study class at my School of Light. Make sure that you also check out the weekly poetry class that I usually film post the love show. So I filmed that after this, and it's getting really good. There's a couple episodes already there, and that's all exclusive as part of your School of Light membership, plus other courses as well. And now, before we get started with the specific guidance for this month of May, I do want to acknowledge these beautiful red roses that I've been nourishing and gardening. I actually changed the flower vase today, and it's this beautiful gold one, which I want to demonstrate. And it really does remind me of like these ancient times, like royal ways of decorating. And I love, look at how beautiful this one is blooming. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And this is again about molding as well, right? Different ways that we can shift and evolve on our journey, the different aspects of ourselves as well that needs mastering, which will lead us to love. Because when we're in our best self, when we're already in the mastery of our craft as well, it only makes sense that the next life phase is marriage, is having a family. And I feel like if you haven't found this spiritual love, it's probably because there's just more individual work to be done. And that's nothing to be ashamed about. God is telling us that our inner healing work really does matter. And it really, really will affect our romantic life. And we all know that everybody wants love. But not everybody has the luxury to experience it yet. Not because God doesn't want you to have love, but because it just might not be time yet. And that's where we need to accept, surrender, and be humble before God. God knows best than us, not us, right? Okay, so I do want to bring always my favorite tarot deck for today, which is Botticelli, the artist. And you know, as usual, you know that I have my birth of Venus behind me, which I absolutely love. And I do feel like the other message as well, which I do want to expand more in next month's fashion show, because the fashion show for May is already posted. You want to definitely look at it. The Garden of Eden is going to give you a lot of clues as to where we're at spiritually on the journey. But I'm do feeling like this is also the unveiling of the true light. I feel like the true light, which is the spiritual partner, whether it be the divine masculine or divine feminine, hasn't been unveiled and revealed to us yet. Or maybe it has, you've gotten glimpses of it, but it's just about to come out. And it only makes sense because it ties in with the collective energies. There's been a lot of darkness that's been around ever since last year, of course, what's happening worldwide, collectively. And I feel like whatever has shown up in our lives since then hasn't been of the purest, or just perhaps it's just not the permanent one. Because if you bond during times of stress, or because of the wrong reasons, because of something hurtful or painful, then what are the chances of that growing into something pure, innocent, and just overly abundant? I feel like there's a lot of confusion among some people. Mostly this applies for people who are in unions, because it's not the time for the correct spiritual union. So if you're in a union, it only means that you're not in the correct one, right? And of course, only if you're watching the show, because if you're not watching the show and you're in a happy union that's spiritual, God is at the center of it, then perhaps you're not in this wavelength, and that doesn't apply to you. And that's what you need to again discern, but make sure it's just not your ego wanting to tell you otherwise. We need to learn to accept the truth wholeheartedly in the face for what it is. And sometimes it might not be what we want to hear, but sometimes it's better than we expected, right? So we just need to allow God to tell us the truth and not sugarcoat it, because it's always best, again, honesty is always the best policy, and that's how God works with us. So God is just telling us to just be discerning. There's certain questions that you need to ask yourself before really sealing the deal with any partner that you meet. And the first question that should be at the very core and the center of everything that you do is, are they also in line with spirituality? Do they believe in God? Do they have a mission, and do they support your mission? Do they understand the work that is involved to make that mission happen? Because believe it or not, that's also a lot of the core issues as to why people drift apart later on, because they didn't think it was going to be that much hard work, or it's just not their lifestyle, or it's just not what they wanted. So these long-term decisions takes a long time to decide than just within the first year of meeting even. I've said this before, but the honeymoon stage in any couple is about 2 years. So if you're less than 2 years and you're already trying to make that next step happen, like get married right away, it might be love at first sight, but you might be overlooking some details. And that's where you need to be patient. There's no rushing the real thing. There's no rushing spiritual love. And if that's you, then that's your ego rushing you. Again, are you going to listen to the angel or the devil? You're never going to find someone else, or you're going to be alone forever. That's not a higher self speaking. That's the ego, right? And that's settling. So if you want great things in life, remember, great things take time. Rome wasn't built in a day, right? This applies to everything else in life, and especially love. Great love wasn't built in a day, or even a year for that matter. It takes several years. And I want to say, to be honest, 2 years or more. Definitely, because that's the honeymoon stage, and that's been psychologically proven over many years of couples therapy studies that I've done research on. And it couldn't always just confirm that. I've seen couples cohabit before it was time, and then that was it for the relationship. It wasn't able to jump the next step because they skipped a step. So there's no skipping. And this is about courting in the most respectful and proper way. Because if you really love that other person, and if you at least want to love your spiritual partner in the purest of ways, then you respect them from day one, right? And so that's the message for today. It's a strong message for today, but I really do feel like this needed to be said for those of you who are still learning about what spiritual love is. And so, yeah, we got the 7 of Cups in reverse. And what this tells me again, this is what it is. Stop seeking out other options. stop keeping your options open if you've already found that spiritual other. And this spiritual other can even be found telepathically. So if you feel it in your heart that there's a spiritual partner around you, or you feel them, which this is what telepathy is. Not everybody's at this level, but some people have developed that spiritual gift. And if you feel that, like this angel here, all around this divine feminine, this is the divine masculine in angel spirit form. If you already found this, then why are you keeping your options open? That's what God is telling us. Because you will know when you meet that soul in your physical reality. But if you're still searching physically for something physical, literally, then you're blocking this from manifesting in the physical realm. Because that's the whole point of spiritual love, right? Eventually, it's not to stay up in the ethers all the time. Eventually, it's to actually ground it and anchor it into our 3D realm so that they can be role models, examples of this spiritual love. The Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve, right? That's kind of what I was picking up on with this month's fashion show event, which is a red carpet event that will be posted. And so yes, we have Cupid's arrow here, the 8 of Wands. This needs to be communicated. This needs to be sought out. If you feel it, search for it. But don't settle along these other wands that you know are not it. It's kind of like the story of Cinderella, right? The prince, when he met Cinderella at the ball with her beautiful blue gown, he already knew that she was the one. And he was searching all over town for that other missing slipper, the glass slipper. Who fit that glass slipper? Do you think that he was just flirting about with every woman that tried on that slipper? He would have never gotten to his Cinderella. It would have taken him forever. And in fact, he might have gotten distracted elsewhere. He was laser focused on what he wanted, and he didn't let any other woman or girl distract him along the way. Physically, right? And of course, they didn't fit the measurement, the requirement of what he wanted, because they didn't fit the glass slipper. But this is all metaphoric as well. Don't let other distractions take you off the spiritual love path. And that's a strong message, because I feel like that is at the very top of Dante's list as to what's the hardest of temptations to overcome. And that's lust. So are you going to choose lust or love? That's the deep question. And you know, I know that lust can be very strong for many people in the physical realm. That's the whole point, right? Because we're all passionate beings. We're all sexual human beings as well at the end of the day. But when you can overpower your own physical desires for something more higher, you'll get both, but greater. And that's the thing, that nothing will be able to get in the way of that. Not even your own mind, your own deepest subconscious wounds. Because remember that these desires don't describe who you are. It's not a part of you. It's just something that has entered your life, like an entity, into our aura. But it doesn't mean that it's of you. So there's a lot of assertiveness that needs to happen during these times. Boundary setting, learning to speak your truth. I'm feeling a lot of throat chakra. Of course, I wore blue, but I wore royal blue as well because Archangel Michael is present with these lovers. This sacred love is protected. Archangel Michael and God is saying. And always call on him. Call on Archangel Michael. Pray to God. If you want help overcoming these temptations or anything else that's interfering with your ability to open yourself to this spiritual love. And this spiritual love is just so pure. It's like a baby, literally. So it's the highest of all vibrations. But you really need to be at that vibration. Like in your heaven. You need to be in your heaven on earth. And again, we're building up with all these messages of every month. So definitely make sure you're watching all of these events in the order that they're meant to be watched. The fashion show and the love show. And you're going to get more clear insight into your personal life. And then finally, we also got the King of Pentacles in reverse. There's something that is being holded back. And I feel like this is the Divine Masculine that's holding back his pentacle, his offering of a new life, abundance, even a new relationship. And the reason is because there's a lot of exhaustion. And I feel like this is either feeling drained, 10 of Wands, could be karmic. But I feel like they're just too much in their head as well, in dream state. Dreaming about this beautiful love, not realizing that it can be made physical. Because Pentacles rules the physical realm. I feel like there's too much activity in the 5D realm, maybe even too much telepathy and not enough actual conversations, right? Actual coming together, 3 of chalices, gatherings, finally meeting, the fated meeting. I feel like this is what's needed to make it real, to make it tangible. And what chakra is going to help you to communicate your truth, the throat chakra, is to become assertive, have courage, trust in your abilities, trust in yourself as a divine masculine, divine feminine. And the feminine definitely needs to be receptive in all her vulnerability and nakedness, and not in the literal sense, but she needs to release and cleanse herself from all that is not divine, whatever thoughts that might be creating fear in her life, or not seeing clearly, maybe shifting her perspective. She definitely needs to also be reborn, and this is the rebirth of this love this year, the rebirth of spiritual love, when we come into alignment of body, mind, spirit. So I'm not seeing this card as a third-party situation. I'm seeing this as an alignment card. Body, mind, spirit. It's about reading between the lines. And it's about opening our heart. And the feminine will benefit from activating her sacral chakra through creativity, artwork, which is what we've been doing as divine feminines. And it has been healing our heart as a consequence. It's just natural because they are connected. When you do things that you're passionate about, you do it from your heart, right? There's no other way to do it properly or with the best part of you. You have to do it with heart, anything that you love and are passionate about. But we are asking to surrender even more to deeper passions that might have been suppressed as well. And this is what's also being reborn. Coming out into the light, the divine feminine. The message that I got is that the true light is unveiling. The true divine feminine is finally unveiling from her shell that she's been hiding under a rock, maybe. Many feminines, or is soon to be, just discovered, basically. And the angels are helping the divine feminine do this. Gain her courage as well to do the things that she loves. And divine masculines, let's get one advice for the divine masculines. Right away. So now we got it in the upright, the 7 of chalices. This is about coming forward. Throat chakra, coming, making his presence, making himself known, right? And the Ace of Swords, this will be victorious, but there needs to be action, right? You will never know if you don't take action. So this is definitely about taking that leap of faith. And this is about communication, because swords does rule communication. And the Ace of Swords, this is the ultimate victory. So what are you waiting for? Why are you hiding? Why are you running away from it? It's like the Excalibur sword as well that I just saw, right? Only one person could lift that sword off that rock, that stone. And that's the true love, this true love's kiss that I was also feeling earlier. Like in the movie Sleeping Beauty. There's only one prince, one king that can truly wake up that princess, that queen. And I would like to say that it's prince and princess first, because as soon as this union becomes official, that's when they both become queen and king and queen. So I feel like there's still a lot of amateur energy happening. They're not yet the pros of their life. But this can only be done if we are putting in the effort, right? Because if not, how do you expect to get there? It's not just poof that it happens. You need to put in the work, especially when it comes to manifesting in the 3D realm, right? And so then at last card for today, the last card at the bottom of the deck is the Justice card in reverse. I do feel like either the feminine or the masculine, the divine feminine, divine masculine, are feeling like certain things are unfair. You see 5 of Swords, like there's too much competition or too much ego among the 3D realm that's standing in the way of the spiritual love. Or maybe they feel deceived in some way, shape, or form. But again, this is also the illusions card. And I feel like there are a lot of illusions of fear that's creating an imbalance in both partners. And so this is what needs to be taken care of. And this is where A Course in Miracles comes in to help us to heal and then choose love over fear always. Always, my friends. Because this is a partnership coming together for the mission as well. 2 of Pentacles. And this is what God is pushing us towards. And this is the 8 card as well, which is the rebirth. The infinite potentials, the transformation, the metamorphosis, which is the theme of next year, 2022. And this is about standing our ground. We will experience fairness, but we need to own our sword, our want, and not give our power away. And this especially applies for love. So again, my friends, thank you all for joining me today. Let me take out my mic. And please join me for the poetry class at my School of Light. Definitely you're going to benefit so much because we expand on these ideas today. And that's where we go really deep. So thank you all for joining me. I hope that this guidance for love really helped you all. My name is Christie Ramirez and I'm your soul coach. If you want more exclusive content just like this, please become a member of my Spiritual Counseling TV network this year, christieramirez.com/TV. Make sure you also sign up to my free mailing list on my website so that you can receive your weekly and monthly newsletters with extra extensive blog articles that I write in regards to the fashion show, the love show, and all my other exclusive shows. I'm wishing you all an amazing and beautiful month. I'll see you all next month. Namaste.